Howdy, and welcome back to the Texas Bucket List. Over in southwest Texas, before Texans took to the territory, there were some native folks that left some incredible art. This art tells their history, and over in Seminole Canyon State Park, you can get a first-hand look at what life was like all those years ago.
In the rugged and rough landscape, where the Pecos meets the Rio Grande, near the legendary little town of Langtree, where Judge Roy Bean dispensed his laydown of the law, sits a canyon with some of the most serene and stunning settings of the Lone Star State.
This is Seminole Canyon.
Randy Rosales grew up just down the road in Del Rio, and now gets to showcase this Texas treasure every day.
I can't ask for a better office, that's for sure.
Seminole Canyon stretches for miles in these parts, and the terrain itself is worth taking the time to see. But there's more here than just the scenery.
Seminole Canyon's a pretty unique place. It's got a lot of history, a lot of stories. Some stories we know a lot about, and some are still a mystery even today.
In the caves and caverns of this desolate destination is signs of some of the earliest life in all our lands.
People have been living in this region for over 12,000 years.
It's hard to imagine, but back then, elephants, camels, and carnivorous cats lived in these parts. And the reason we know that are these paintings, left behind by a people that are long gone.
These drawings were being drawn around the same time period that the Egyptian pyramids were being built. That's how far back they go. Who they were, we don't know. We just know that they left their mark on the land.
First discovered by Spanish explorers in the late 1500s, the cave drawings are some of the oldest known in North America.
Outside of about a 50-mile radius, a circle around where we're at, this particular style of rock art, which we call the Lower Pecos River style, disappears. Found nowhere else in the world.
After taking a short hike, we got a first-hand look at this history in the hollows.
Well, this is impressive, Randy. What is this?
Well, we call it the Triad panel, and it's one of the more colorful and well-preserved panels you're going to find. You can really see the color palette on this one, the different colors they use, the reds, the blacks, yellows, and oranges.
It is beautiful. Is this supposed to be, I'm assuming, the main people of the tribe, it looks like?
Well, it's hard to decipher as to what this individual really is or who he was. Archaeologists believe that this might actually represent some sort of ceremony. You can see the people, some of the figurines seem to be gathered around this particular panel and this particular center being. And there are clues that you can always find. Look at their feet, the way they're pointing. It all seems to be gathered around this particular center being. What it actually represents, we're not quite sure. But the detail of it it's what's very striking, the straight lines that you see, the featherings in the drawing itself, the different shades of color.
So we're assuming, Peace, this could have been the god of holy moly, here comes the Texas storm god, you know?
Possibly.
He don't look too peaceful to me.
The stories these paintings tell stir your imagination.
So what is some of the rock art that sticks out here?
A lot of the rock art is very enigmatic, very abstract. It doesn't appear to resemble anything that we recognize today. So that's part of the difficulty, since we don't know who the author of them were. But some of them you kind of make out, like the ones up here top. Cat-like ears, long claws, long hairy tail. Some would say that that's probably a panther or a mountain lion. Of course, the question is, why would you draw a mountain lion? Did they encounter a mountain lion, or was a mountain lion part of their story? Notice it's got red streaks coming from its mouth. Does that mean it's bleeding? Or is it talking? So you can see how it can be difficult to interpret, but that's what archaeologists are doing now, and they're finding clues, and the research is really giving us a lot of insight as to what some of these symbols may mean. So one day we will figure it all out. We hope.
Yeah. Well, only if we time travel and we figure out their dialect.
What's truly amazing about these people and culture is that their reign in the region lasted a long time.
Well, this particular style lasted 1,500 years, so we associate that culture with that rock art style, then you're looking at 1,500 years. You know, when you compare that to the age of our country, we just started.
Yeah, truly.
There is a general belief that these people influenced many of the modern or more modern and well-known cultures that we hear of today, the Aztec, the Mayans, and the Olmecs, may have been influenced by the cultures that started here.
Unfortunately, the lifespan of these murals is limited. With changes to the local environment, these lines to a lost lineage are starting to decay at an alarming rate.
They're slowly disappearing, and unfortunately there's not much we can do about that. It's just natural deterioration that comes with weathering and things of that nature, and there's nothing you can apply to the walls that ain't going to change the composition of it. Our challenge is to learn as much from them now and to record them as much as we can even today. So they're still around, perhaps in digital format, but we can still learn long after they're gone.
So make a stop in Val Verde County to see some of the oldest recorded history on our side of planet Earth, making it well worth a stop on the Texas bucket list.
If you're into the history of people of this side of the world, then this is a place you want to come.